Hi everyone, Nico here with another recap. Today's anime is called Beast Tamer. In this story, a beast tamer is fired from the hero's party because of his weak fighting skills. However, he meets a strong cat girl and his beast tamer skills become stronger. Will his old party regret exiling him? Watch to find out. Rain is a beast tamer because he grew up with a strong affinity for animals. He doesn't have combat skills, so he contributes to the party by scouting with his tamed animals and doing important logistics for the party. He thought he had a good relationship, but is surprised when one day the hero Arios fires him. He questions why and they tell him that he is useless because he can't fight. He is shocked to hear that this is how they really think of him. As he leaves the party, they mock him and are glad he is leaving, asking him to give them all his gear because they helped him gather it. It is clear they don't appreciate Rain for all he has done for the party. Rain remembers that the party was often harsh with him, but he thought it was tough love and he wonders if they never cared for him in the first place. Although he is sad, a group of kids arrive and he entertains them by casting a temporary contract on a hawk and playing with the kids. The kids all say they want to be beast tamers when they grow up, and Rain is surprised they don't want to be heroes. They tell him that the hero and the hero's party often look down upon the commoners, and he is the only one willing to play with the kids and treat commoners like them decently. Feeling a little better, he decides to become an adventurer and heads to the Adventurers Guild. As an adventurer, he will be able to travel on his own, take on missions, and earn a living. He is determined to be better than the hero and will treat others with kindness. The guild is a little uncertain to make him an adventurer because beast tamers are thought to be weak and usually don't travel alone. He is given a test to kill 10 goblins as the minimum skill needed to become an adventurer of the guild. Rain is an experienced beast tamer, so he uses animals to scout and find the goblins. He also wonders if beast tamers have a poor reputation because there are many novice tamers. Although it is tiring for him, he fights the goblins and manages to eliminate 10 of them and gathers enough loot to pass the test. However, during the test he hears a girl scream and immediately goes to help. He sees a girl cornered by a killer tiger, a strong monster, and he bravely tries to intervene, but his fighting skills are way too weak. However, his help buys her enough time to gather her strength and she dropkicks the tiger and defeats it. He notices her cat ears and thinks she must be one of the rare supreme races in this world, who are all incredibly strong and powerful. She is tired after the battle, and though he thinks she is hurt at first, she is just very hungry. While she eats all his food, he is amazed to meet a cat spirit like her who has unparalleled athletic skill but can't cast any magic. She introduces herself as Kanade, one of the last cat spirits since the cat spirit race is near extinction. The cats live deep in the mountains because their race is dwindling, but she found a secluded life boring, so she journeyed out of the mountains for adventure, which led her to him. He tells her about his conflict with the hero, and she is upset to hear about what happened to him, since he is a nice person. Rain tells her not to worry about it as he just wants to move on with his life. Kanade, who is impressed with his kindness and his attitude, tells him that she felt he was a special kind of tamer, who would be able to tame a cat spirit like her, and she offers herself to be tamed by him. He thinks taming a supreme species like her would be a great help to future fights and he could prevent tragedy. But he has a good heart and he doesn't want to take advantage of her and wants to just know her better. She feels that they were fated to meet and they agree to contract to one another. Rain casts the contract, which is more complex than taming simple creatures, as the contract will tie their hopes and fate together. The spell results in a visible mark on Kanade's hand and they shake hands, looking forward to traveling with one another. Although Rain was sad to be exiled from the hero's party, seeing Kanade happy, he feels hopeful for the future. Before they arrive at the guild, they find some rabbits to tame and Kanade is in fluffy heaven. She watches as Rain tames many of them and sends them to find medicinal herbs, and Kanade is shocked to see his skill as a tamer because commanding animals with complex commands is an incredibly rare skill. She wonders how strong he will be in the future if he is already such a strong tamer now. Since he passes the test, he is now a F-rank adventurer and is given a little pay. But the guild lady encourages him that he will probably be promoted soon because he completed the trial so quickly. Rain wants to start taking jobs right away, but before they can go, they are confronted by a bully. He insults Rain and doesn't believe that Kanade could be tamed by someone like Rain. He challenges Rain to arm wrestle and Rain accepts because he feels that bullies will continue to go after Kanade if he doesn't do anything. But they are both shocked to see Rain winning easily. The guild apologizes for the bully's behavior as he was a member that was already on the verge of being expelled from the guild. The guild lady is amazed that he contracted such a powerful species like Kanade. As she leaves, Kanade tells him that because of their contract he has gained powerful physical strength on par with hers as a result of their contract, which is why he crushed the other adventurers so easily in the arm wrestle. Their next job is to gather more medicinal herbs, and Kanade is disappointed they don't have more dangerous jobs, but this is because Rain is still F-rank. He uses rabbits again to gather herbs, and she is upset that a bunch of rabbits are better at gathering herbs than her. Suddenly Kanade senses trouble and they find an old man being robbed by the Ebon Fangs. a large and famous band of robbers after the old man's escort of adventurers have run away. They watch the confrontation and Kanade wonders if they should run for help, but Rain doesn't think there is enough time. He determines they have to intervene as soon as possible to save the old man's life even if it's dangerous. They leap into action with a surprise attack and save the old man. As Kanade watches him defend the old man with his newfound physical prowess, she is amazed at how quickly he has adapted to his new physical strength. After the brigands are defeated, Rain reveals that beast tamers are actually taught martial arts so they don't hurt the animals they tame. The old man is thankful for their help but urges them to run away as the Ebon Fangs will definitely retaliate when they hear some robbers were defeated. So Rain forms a plan to capture the robbers they defeated and then attack the Ebon Fangs directly in their hideout. Using animals, they scout the hideout, and Rain reveals his plan to use special bees to paralyze the robbers inside the hideout to make the fight easier. He also wants her to run back to town to some knights to help arrest the bandits, because there is no way just the two of them could capture over 100 bandits. The bee army arrives. It turns out Leanne and Mina, who were Rain's former party members in the hero's party, were among the adventurers that abandoned the old man. They thought it would be an easy job but are embarrassed they had to run away. They are unimpressed with their new beast tamer and berate him for not scouting well with squirrels and that he should have used a swarm of squirrels. But the beast tamer is shocked because normal tamers are only supposed to be able to tame a single beast at a time, and that beast tamers that can multi-tame animals are rare and strong. Mina doesn't believe him since she still thinks Rain was a failure, and she chases their new tamer off for lying to them. Meanwhile, Rain has disabled all the bandits in the hideout and Kanade arrives with adventurers and townspeople. The night didn't come because they found arresting bandits beneath them, but Rain congratulates Kanade for doing an excellent job. Suddenly, a horde of king lizards that the bandits were using as a security appear, but even the king lizards don't obey the bandits because they have gone berserk with anger. Rain and Kanade the king lizards and defend the others, allowing them time to get away. They emerge from the hideout after defeating the king lizards, and the townspeople praise them, and he finally is getting the recognition he deserves. He is amazed at how his life has changed since his time in the hero's party, and is happy to have met Kanade, who has given him the power to help others. After saving the town from bandits and king lizards, Rain and Kanade are celebrated and given great rooms. Rain is also immediately promoted to be E rank from the guild, and the small party buys food and better equipment with the reward money. They are given a room together, but Rain is embarrassed to share a room with Kanade. She trusts Rain to not take advantage of her, and he thinks she is too trusting. But she feels that she isn't normally this trusting, and she only trusts him because he has proven himself to be a valuable partner. They share the room that night, and Kanade reflects that cat spirits like her are so rare and powerful that humans always try to take advantage of them. And she is happy Rain treats her like a person and not an object. She also feels that even if he is not showing it, Rain must feel terrible for getting kicked out of his former party, and she resolves to do her best to make him happy. The two take small jobs until the guild assigns them an urgent mission to confront a troublemaker who is blocking an important bridge for the guild. The troublemaker will not let anyone pass through the bridge unless they are defeated in combat, and though they have not killed anyone, no one has been able to win against them. Rain and Kanade attempt to find information, but none of the defeated guild members want to talk about their defeat. They arrive at the bridge and are shocked to find that the troublemaker is a dragon girl named Tania. Dragons are an ultimate species and are always looking to improve their strength. And as a young dragon, she is searching for strong opponents to fight to become stronger. She challenges them to a battle, and through Rain's inherited power, he is able to block a single attack. Tania uses her flames and lights Kanade's tail on fire, which makes the cat girl incredibly mad. They try to keep up with the dragon and ambush her at the same time, but she is able to fight them off and then blast them with her fire. Although the two barely escape, Rain realizes they cannot defeat the dragon in physical combat and must change strategies. He asks Kanade to buy him some time, and she engages the dragon in close combat. Kanade cannot beat Tania in endurance, but Rain arrives with a swarm of birds that he had tamed. She becomes paralyzed, and Rain reveals that the birds actually have poisonous beaks that paralyze their opponents. Unable to fight, she surrenders and promises not to bother the bridge anymore, and Kanade pokes her into submission. They bring Tania back to the guild and they attempt to hide her true appearance, but she keeps attracting attention by challenging adventurers and showing off to kids. Outside the town, Tania wonders why they aren't taking her captive, and the party tells her they just wanted her to leave the bridge alone. Satisfied with their answer, Tania asks to join the party because if she travels with powerful people like them, she will be able to fight lots of strong opponents. They contract with each other, and Rain feels very lucky to be able to tame the ultimate species. Meanwhile, the heroes' party are struggling on their latest mission without Rain, as now they have to carry their own supplies and fight without good scouting and support. The hero decides that they should temporarily recruit Rain because he is a pushover, and then dump him again after the next mission. Rain signs them up for the next guild mission, which is to eliminate a swarm of slimes. Slimes are F-rank creatures, but they reproduce very fast. Canade also hates fighting them, because her hand-to-hand combat means that she gets wet when fighting slimes. However, they run into trouble trying to find the swarm of slimes, so Rain decides they should search from the skies, because they can guard his body. He possesses a bird to help them scout. He finds out from them that the ability to transfer subconsciousness into animals is a very rare beast tamer trait. Soon they find the swarm of slimes, and Tanya wants to use the slimes as magic practice for Rain so that he can get better at casting combat magic. Although he is a strong tamer, Rain never had much talent for combat magic but finds that he can cast enormous fireballs as he obliterates the slimes. And Tanya reveals that through their contract he has inherited her fire abilities. She encourages him to practice his fireballs and she trains him harshly on his magic. Back at the guild, the town has gotten used to Tanya as the party has told everyone she is a dragon cosplayer. They also receive rewards for defeating the slimes, but because of Tanya and Canade's appetites they have to spend the money on food. Over dinner, Rain talks about his childhood growing up in a small village of beast tamers. He grew strong in the village and learned most of his powers from there. But when he was 12 years old, when he was out training, a horde of monsters attacked and destroyed his village and he became the only survivor. Although he was rescued by adventurers, he became a poor orphan. When he grew up, the hero Arios recruited him, and until recently he thought they cared about him and were his first true friends. Canade and Tanya cheer him up, and are angry at his behalf for how poorly his former party treated him, and Rain feels blessed to have them by his side. Their next mission is to eliminate a group of orcs, who are E-rank monsters who fight dirty and with weapons. The party is much stronger than the orcs, but Tanya's overconfidence causes her to be careless, and Rain has to tank a hit for her. Later, Tanya feels terrible for letting her guard down and tries to apologize, but Rain and Canade are just glad that she wasn't hurt. That night, Tanya can't stop thinking about how kind the party is, and how easily Rain forgave her mistake. She finds herself beginning to have feelings for him, but denies them as the party retires for the night. The next day on the road, the party find themselves face to face with Rain's old party, led by the hero Arios. He tries to ignore the hero, and the hero offers a half-hearted apology for their treatment of Rain. But the hero becomes shocked when he sees the cat spirit Canade and the dragon Tanya. The hero's party can't believe that such powerful creatures are traveling with a loser like Rain. The party asks for Rain's help in navigating the Lost Woods and to return to his old role of scouting and carrying equipment for them. The hero adds that it would be an honor for someone like him to join their party again. But Rain strongly refuses them because of how badly they treated him. When Rain tries to leave, however, the party guilt-trip Rain by saying that their mission is critical for defeating the Demon Lord, as they need to find an important shield in the Lost Woods. Rain thinks about how his village was destroyed by monsters in the past, so he angrily decides to help them. The party is not thankful for his help and insults him. Canade and Tanya interrupt them and demand that the party apologize correctly to Rain, and demand that they all beg on their knees for his help. The hero is insulted that they would suggest such a thing, and the rest of the party also refuse. He asks Rain to keep his pets in line, and Rain punches him for calling his friends pets. Shocked from the punch, the hero challenges Rain in a duel with his party against Rain's party. Agath duels against Canade and finds her physical strength overwhelming. Insulted by her taunts, he unleashes his ultimate technique that is easily blocked by Canade, and Canade reveals that she was barely using any of her real strength. Agath tries to brace himself against Canade, but she easily knocks him out with a single hit. Meanwhile, Mina and Leanne duel against Tanya, and they open with some of their strongest magic, which Tanya snaps out of existence. She mocks them for casting weak spells, and no matter how many spells they cast, Tanya keeps snapping them away by canceling out their magic. The mage and priest increasingly use stronger and stronger spells to the same result, as Tanya easily stops their magic. Finally, Tanya casts some of her own fire magic and fills the sky with dozens of huge meteors. The hero's party beg for forgiveness, and Tanya cancels out her spell as the frightened casters pass out. Rain and Arios duel, and Arios starts monologuing, so Rain punches him. As they duel, Rain finds that Arios has some skill at the sword, but that the hero's physical prowess pales in comparison to Canade and Tanya. He easily uses his martial arts to dodge and pummel the hero, and scolds the hero for not respecting the power of his friends. He demands that the hero surrender, but Arios refuses and casts his special lightning magic, which is cancelled by Tanya's fire magic. Arios prepares to unleash more powerful magic until he is suddenly paralyzed, as during the fight Rain tamed a paralytic bee to sting and disable the hero. Arios tries to appeal to his friendship with Rain and begs for forgiveness, but Rain can only think of how badly they treated him and pummels the hero into unconsciousness. Fresh from their own victories, Canade and Tanya arrive and hug Rain. The party travel to the Lost Woods and find the woods dark and scary, and Tanya wonders if they can just burn it all down to Rain's horror. Although the heroes' party provided them a map of their progress since the Lost Woods keep changing, they find the map useless. The heroes' party is also resting because of how badly they were beaten during the duels and were forced to apologize to the party. Arios tries to order them to fetch the shield, using his status as the hero, but they ignore him. Tanya and Kanade question why they are helping the hero when they are all stronger than him. Rain thanks them for standing up for him against the hero, but they need to help the hero since he will be the one to defeat the Demon King. Rain possesses a bird again to scout the woods, and through its senses he detects a hidden path through the woods. They attempt to follow the path but find themselves going in circles as they pass a marker they had placed earlier. Tanya decides to use magic to detect illusion magic and is able to uncover a magical barrier hiding a large tree. Tanya states that the Lost Woods are not actually changing, but the spell is confusing their senses so that they walk in circles and avoid the barrier. Since the barrier is quite strong, Tanya would take a long time to remove it, so Kanade tries to punch her way through until a mysterious voice stops her. A fairy reveals herself, and Rain is amazed to see the first fairy in 200 years, after the past humans drove off all the fairies centuries ago. He attempts to introduce himself, but the fairy threatens them with powerful magic and orders them to leave. Frightened by her power, they retreat. Rain is suspicious of the incident, because a fairy would usually never reveal themselves, so the barrier must be protecting something very important. The shield artifact is supposed to be captured by monsters in the woods, and the party wonders if the fairies are allying with the monsters. But Rain wonders if they can negotiate with the fairy and approach the matter peacefully. Rain returns to the fairy and she threatens to attack him, but Rain uses his Beast Tamer training in reading body language in tense situations and survives her warning attack. The fairy is confused as she knows the humans to be evil beings who attacked the fairies. She attempts to kill Rain, but his party saves him, and both Tanya and Kanade express Rain's good intentions to the fairy. Since a cat spirit and dragon are supporting him, the fairy reluctantly agrees to talk peacefully. She introduces herself as Sora, and reveals that the barrier protects a fairy village, and that the fairies possess the Shield of Truth. When they reveal they need the shield to help the hero defeat the Demon King, she decides to give it to them. As though she hates humans, she hates monsters even more. Sora reveals that before the fairies and humans went to war, they had an agreement to entrust the Shield of Truth to the humans. But before they leave, Rain feels that something else is troubling Sora, and asks her what she is struggling with. When the party promises to support her, Sora reluctantly tells them about her twin sister Runna, who also guarded the barrier in the Lost Woods. One day while they had temporarily left the barrier, they were attacked by the Demon King's forces and Runna was captured. The monster was a Shadow Knight who is particularly dangerous to fairies because they have the ability to nullify all magic, which makes them perfect counters to fairies who are weak physically but strong magically. The Shadow Knight gave Sora the choice between Runna or the village, and Sora chose duty over her sister and fled. However, back at the fairy village, the Fairy King decided not to send a rescue party as that would endanger the other fairies, and Runna was left to die. Sora feels helpless as she is stuck guarding the barrier and cannot save her sister. The party comforts her as they promise to do everything they can to rescue her sister Runna. Rain, Tanya, and Kanade had promised Sora that they would save her sister Runna from the Shadow Knight. But Sora reveals that she made an agreement with the knight that she would remove the barrier to the fairy village by the end of the day to save Runna. Rain tells her to stay next to the barrier so that the Shadow Knight would think she is upholding her end of the deal, and therefore would not hurt his hostage. The party scout the edge of the woods and find the Shadow Knight alongside an imprisoned Runna. They attack the Shadow Knight physically because of his immunity to magic, and the knight determines that Sora must have enlisted their help to free her twin sister. He attacks Runna, but she is saved by Tanya, who retreats with the fairy. Although Rain's plan to extract Runna is successful, they are surprised to see the Shadow Knight still holding his ground against their physical attacks. Rain thinks that since the knight has been shrugging off their attacks, it must be an officer of the Demon King's army. He asks Kanade to distract the knight while he uses his senses to tame a crowd of paralytic bees. Though the knight is unaffected by paralysis, it gives Rain enough time to channel his powers as a beast tamer and empower Kanade to greater heights. A strengthened Kanade destroys the Shadow Knight, and Rain reveals that the magic he used was a unique spell fueled by Tanya's immense magic. The party reunites the two sisters, and Runna jokes about her imprisonment from the Shadow Knight. The party prepares to leave, but the sisters reveal they will be leaving the fairy village because Sora cannot forgive them for abandoning her sister. Kanade invites them to join the party as they have little experience with the outside world. Sora is a little uncertain but comes around when Runna enthusiastically agrees. Rain is an expert tamer, but no human has tamed a fairy before, and he struggles to create the necessary spell. He experiments with his magic and creates the spell to successfully tame the twin fairies. But taming two ultimate species at once takes a lot out of him. Later, Rain decides to hand over the Shield of Truth to the hero Arios by himself. insisting that he should deal with his former party alone. Arios calls him a liar until the party confirms that the shield is truly genuine. Rain takes his gold and starts to leave until Agath requests he return to his old party, saying that the Beast Tamer should forget the distant troubled past. But Rain can't ever see his former party as comrades ever again after how they treated him, and he turns them down, as he already has his own party. After Rain leaves, the heroes' party grumble about the Beast Tamer's decision. But Arios cannot forget his defeat against Rain and swears vengeance. Meanwhile, Rain tells his party the hero legend, that the first hero was empowered by the gods to free the people from the Demon King. They mock the current hero Arios, and Rain states that Arios is only a descendant of the first hero, and that the first hero's descendants all have some amount of divine blood that makes them grow more powerful over time. Sora wonders if Rain himself has some divine blood from the first hero, as he has also grown much stronger over time and has the ability to contract with ultimate species like them. Kanade wonders if Rain keeps taming the ultimate species, he could grow strong enough to defeat the Demon King himself. Rain hasn't thought about the Demon King since leaving the hero's party, and though he would be willing, he feels he isn't strong enough to make a commitment to fight the Demon King. The party tells him no matter what happens they will support him, and he feels that for now he should just grow stronger until the day he chooses a destiny for himself. Since the reward from Arios was large for recovering the Shield of Truth, Rain has plenty of money, and the party decides over breakfast to go on a shopping trip. The fairy sisters are concerned with how crowded the human settlement is, as living in the fairy village they are not used to seeing so many crowds. A group of adventurers show respect to Tanya after they were previously defeated by her at the bridge. Meanwhile, Kanade is given free food from thankful shopkeepers. A bunch of kids come up to the fairies and call them Rain's new wives, which Runna finds hilarious. She almost reveals they are powerful fairies until she is stopped by Sora and Rain. Sora reminds Runna that they need to keep their identities as fairies a secret, or all the humans will panic. They go into a weapons shop, which is owned by an intimidating dwarf. Runna would like Rain to buy a whip because it is a fitting weapon for beast tamers, but Sora stops her from acting indecently. Rain tests a dagger but senses something wrong with the weapon. At the same time, an adventurer arrives and buys a sword from the dwarf. After the adventurer leaves, Rain confronts the dwarf and wonders why all the weapons in the shop are display pieces and useless in combat. The dwarf laughs and reveals that everything in the store is equipment he has created in his spare time, and the party complains he is ripping everyone off. The offended dwarf reveals that adventurers lack the respect for his craftsmanship, and the display weapons are a test since adventurers would toss away his finely crafted weapons for whatever is newest on the market. The dwarf is surprised that Rain can sense the quality of the equipment and offers to make a customized weapon for him, but only on the condition that Rain and the party collect the necessary materials. Later at the guild they see a huge crowd, and the guild tells them that many adventurers are excited to join the hero's party, who is looking to enlist support members to help them defeat the Demon King. Runna and Sora introduce themselves, but Runna almost causes trouble by overstating their relationship. They hand over Gantz the dwarf's custom request for mithril ore, a metal that is extremely rare but also extremely long-lasting. Gantz used to have a mithril mine, but one day all the mithril disappeared, and Rain determines that something must have happened in the mine itself for the mithril to disappear all at once. The party decides to help Gantz with investigating the mine in exchange for a custom weapon for Rain, and Gantz is happy they are offering to help in exchange for his craftsmanship and not plain gold. The next day they travel to the mine, but the fairies quickly become tired because they used to be shut-ins. Since the entire party is tired, they decide to take a break at a nearby lake, and the girls relax as Rain watches their equipment and takes a nap. During their swim, Kanade is attacked and Rain rushes to help, but it was only a fish that bit Kanade's tail. They are shocked to see him, and later Rain apologizes, and though the party is embarrassed, they quickly forgive Rain since his intentions were pure. The group arrives at the mine and Rain finds a bird flying overhead suspiciously. Suddenly armed men emerge from the mine to attack them. Rain wants to interrogate them, but Tanya and Kanade are too strong and knock them out. Sora and Runna use their magic to search through the bandits' memory, and they discover that a group of adventurers have been stealing mithril from the mine. The party prepares to attack the adventurers, but Kanade wonders how the party was detected, and Rain reveals that the bird flying overhead was tamed, and that their opponents must also include a powerful beast tamer. Rain and the girls ready themselves to fight the beast tamer in the mine, and when the party heads inside, the enemy beast tamer's allies use their magic to attack the party. But Runna and Sora are easily able to extinguish the magic of the adventurers, while Kanade pummels them into submission. Rain confronts the enemy beast tamer and quickly disarms him. However, the enemy beast tamer summons a behemoth he had tamed earlier to help him fight, Behemoths are rare creatures, and this beast tamer raised the behemoth from when it was a young pup. As Rain fights the behemoth, their fight starts to collapse the mine, so the girls evacuate the tied-up adventurers. Canade then helps Rain to fight the behemoth and try to capture the beast tamer so that they can save the mine from collapsing. And Rain uses his overwhelming power as a beast tamer to overwrite the control of the behemoth. The beast tamer becomes furious that his behemoth has turned on him, and Rain is forced to destroy it. The party discovers that the adventurers were angry with the dwarf for making bad weapons, and Gantz apologizes for purposefully making terrible weapons for adventurers. Rain cheers him up and persuades him to redeem himself by making better equipment for everyone. Meanwhile, Arios is dissatisfied with the beast tamers that try to join his hero party, because all of them are far weaker than Rain. He also scolds Mina for bringing bad candidates to him, and the hero swears he will destroy Rain. Meanwhile, Rain returns to the guild to find out that the adventurers from the mine have lost their adventuring license for stealing, and while the rest of the girls sleep, he goes with Runa and Sora to eat food and go shopping. On their day out, they wonder if Rain has gained abilities from taming them, but since Canade already gives him physical strength and Tanya gives him great magical power, it seems the two fairies don't give him additional power. They wonder why he keeps them around since they were abandoned by the fairy village, and Rain explains how he was mistreated and eventually kicked out of the hero's party. Therefore, he doesn't want his allies to have the same experience he had. When they try to return to the tavern, they meet Edgar, the son of the local lord, who admires the twin fairies and demands them to join him. Rain defends his party from the noble who surrounds them with his men. But when the beast tamer proves too strong for him, Edgar uses his men to threaten the villagers. Since Rain has to make sure the identity of the fairies is kept secret, Rain is able to use a special fairy spell to use many fireballs at once and disable the soldiers. An angry Edgar leaves, and the fairies celebrate with the rest of the town, but they warn Rain that he should leave town. Rain later meets the girls at the inn to discuss the situation and how the local lord may threaten them further if they stay in the town. Tanya wants to burn down the lord's mansion, but Rain refuses as he is worried about the lord destroying the town in revenge. The girls also express their desire to protect the townspeople who have all been kind to them. Rain tries to go to the Adventurers Guild to report Edgar to the local law enforcement, but they find that the knights are corrupt, and later they meet Stella, the vice captain of the knights, who apologizes for the behavior of her subordinates. She reveals that her captain, Gillett, is corrupted by the local lord and has filled the knights with his lackeys. Stella hopes that Rain and the girls can help her reform the knights and save them from corruption. They come up with a plan to trap the corrupt knights by spreading a rumor that proves their collusion with Edgar. Gillett leads the knights into the warehouse and falls for the trap, as the fairies use their magic to trap them inside the building. Meanwhile, Stella and Rain attempt to ambush Gillett with weapons from Gantz. Stella then decides to duel Gillett herself to restore honor to the Knight Order, and as she curses the corrupt captain for failing to uphold justice, she kills him and gains control over the knights. Meanwhile, Edgar has heard that Rain is coming for him and that the knights have been defeated, and while he is abusing his servant, he is approached by Arios, who wishes to join forces with him to defeat the Beast Tamer, and Arios gives Edgar a magic ring to kill Rain. The divine fox Nina remembers her peaceful existence as a god who was worshipped in her homeland, before she was captured by humans. Meanwhile, Rain's party and Stella's forces arrive at Edgar's mansion, demanding his army to give up the local lord. As the two sides prepare to fight, Rain infiltrates the mansion with Runa and Sora to use their magic to find kidnapped townspeople inside the mansion. But when Runa and Sora use their magic, they find a powerful magical signature deep within the basement with power similar to their own, indicating that there could be another ultimate species in the mansion. They decide to separate, with Runa and Sora freeing the imprisoned townspeople while Rain will go alone and investigate the magical source. And when he explores the mansion, he meets the fox spirit Nina imprisoned in a room. Edgar had invaded her homeland with his soldiers, and though her magic was powerful, he was able to capture her by threatening the people who lived at her shrine. Nina also suffers from a magic collar that keeps her subservient, and Rain struggles to release her, only succeeding by channeling all the magic from the other girls. Meanwhile, the girls and Stella start to defeat Edgar's forces by using their abilities, and when Run and Sora join them, they gain entrance into the mansion where they all meet Rain with Nina. In the mansion, they girls comfort Nina, and Stella tries to arrest Edgar and his father. But Edgar uses the ring from the hero to summon a dark specter that hits Rain with an instant death ability. But the girls are surprised to see he is unaffected by the specter, and they experiment to find out how Rain survived the death spell. Meanwhile, Edgar becomes cursed by the ring, which quickly swallows him in a dark cloud. And before Rain can interfere, a demon emerges from the ring resembling the monster that destroyed Rain's hometown and killed his parents. The demon tells them they will all die soon, but first he wants to go and destroy the nearby town. As the demon flies off, Rain encourages his friends to fight for the townspeople and fight the demon. They arrive at the town to fight the demon, But Canade's physical prowess and the fairy's magical ability does not seem to affect the demon at all. The demon then summons several minions, and while the girls fight the demon dogs, Canade becomes hurt. To buy her friends time, Tania buys them time but is overwhelmed, and the demon starts to destroy the town with his magic. Rain then uses his Beast Tamer abilities to boost all the girls, greatly enhancing their abilities to strike against the demon. But even with their power combined, they are unable to stop him, and Runa comes up with a plan to evacuate the townsfolk by teleporting them all to safety. Meanwhile, Arios and his party are ignoring the demon as Arios feels his responsibility as the hero is to only fight the Demon King. The rest of his party protest and want to help, but he tells them to stay inside. To enact their plan, Runa and Sora go to Stella, who leads the knights against the demon forces, and inform her of the teleportation spell. They knights gather the townspeople together, but the humans are naturally distrustful of the fairies. But since the townspeople are familiar with Runa and Sora, they decide to trust them and allow themselves to be teleported to safety. Meanwhile, in the streets of city, Canade and Tania are aided by adventurers from the guild who have come out to fight against the demon forces, using weapons forged by Gantz. Nina, who is feeling useless in the fight, decides she wants to help, so she goes to Rain to help teleport him to the demon using her powers of instant teleportation. Rain then channels the power of the divine spirits to trap the demon, and although he is almost overwhelmed, he overwrites the demon's control over his minion. And using his own minions, Rain mobs the demon and destroys it, saving the town. With the demon eliminated and the townspeople rebuilding the city, the party decides that Rain should formally contract with Nina, and Rain uses his magic to tame the divine fox spirit. They later go to the guild, where they are told Stella will be using her knights to help rebuild the city, and that Rain has been promoted as an adventurer, which means that his pay will be increased. Since his rank has increased, Rain wonders if they can afford a house, since the room at the inn they are staying at is starting to become too small for the party. And because they saved the town, the guild will gladly help them find a home to live in. They are then shown a house that seems too perfect to be so cheap, and they discover that the house seems to be haunted because all the previous owners were driven away. The party find the house surprisingly clean, and the ghost reveals itself, ordering them to leave. Runa and Sora try to eliminate the ghost with magic, but it escapes. But when the ghost tries to scare them into leaving the party, they quickly discover that the ghost has no way to attack. But Canade becomes so scared by the ghost she goes into a feral state and starts hunting the ghost down. The fairies then trap the ghost and they calm Canade down. Rain reveals that beast tamers can also tame ghosts, and he persuades the ghost to give up on attacking them. She reveals her name is Tina, a maid who died at the house 30 years ago after she was killed by its previous owner. With the party calm, they ask if Tina could be peaceful and stay with them, as thanks for scaring away potential owners and making the mansion so cheap to buy, and the ghost decides to stay. Later, in the ruins of the town, Arios and his party try to buy supplies so they can prepare to fight the demon lord. But the townspeople refuse to sell to them because Arios did nothing to help the town when the demon attacked. Soon angry townsfolk gather and they drive the hero out of town, and Arios swears revenge on Rain. Meanwhile, Rain and his party prepare for their first home-cooked meal in their new mansion, and Rain becomes emotional thinking about his killed family, his time in the hero's party, and the new party he was able to build on its own with the girls. And the Beast Tamer hopes that he has made his deceased parents proud of him. And this is all for this video. Make sure to subscribe if you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.